Good morning, USA. I got a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful day.
What's up, you guys? It's Tyler, aka Cheesehead300, and I'm back with another theories video today. This time I'm doing American Dad. Doing one theory per member of the family, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright, let's get right into it. And number one, we have Stan Smith, a lovable CIA agent. Super uptight, super prude, very funny. I love him. I love his character, but I do believe, however, he did die in the apocalypse by the Antichrist, or at least helping defeating the Antichrist. I know this is one of his most popular ones out there, and you know, people have tried to disprove it, people have tried to prove it. I think it's true just because of some of the evidence that you kind of get throughout the rest of the show. After that episode, as the seasons kind of go on, you notice Stan is less uptight with his family. He's less hard on Steve, he's less hard on Hayley. And you kind of see him doing whatever he pleases, which, you know, never really changed, I guess. But you don't see him worrying as much a lot, like, you know, in the other episode there was a lot of bills he was worrying about, or stuff at work. Like, he doesn't, a lot of those things just kind of go away. He just kind of goes with the flow of the family now. He used to never go along with Roger or his shenanigans, now he does, or Steve, or whoever the episode surrounds that week. And, you know, they say their personal heavens are what your heart most desires. And not right after, but a little while after that episode, Jeff disappears out of Hayley's life. Hayley meets a new guy that Stan really approves of. And like I said, he just kind of, nothing ever really goes too bad for him. We don't really see him die ever, except for in the hot tub episode. And things just seem a little bit more easy going for him. That's just my personal opinion. All these are just my personal opinion. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about any of these theories that I got going on right now. I definitely like to hear other people's opinions. And alright, moving on to number two, we have Steve Smith. What can I say about Steve? I love Steve so much. One of my favorite characters. Every single Steve-centric episode is super freaking funny, and I just love him so much. And my theory for him is that he's actually afraid of sex. Now a lot of people might be wondering, like, what I mean by that, but I think he's just in the show that he's had plenty of opportunities. I mean, he's had Carmen Electra. I almost said Carmen Selectra. Carmen Electra. He refused to be with her because she had fake boobs. She didn't have her medical history or something like that. So he just made it as difficult as possible, even though she was ready. Then he had that girl with the doll that wasn't really his fault, I guess. That was more Snot's fault, tossing the doll and just, and then, you know, just all the other times he's either screwed out of it a lot or screws himself out of it. And I think when he does get close enough, he is a self-sabotager, because he talks a big game, but he doesn't have it in him to actually go through with it. Which I think would be a lot of kids his age. I mean, you know, at 14 we all like to say that we would have had it in us. But I don't know. And not only that, but he did have a serious girlfriend in Debbie for a long time. I mean, I'm not saying, that garners that they should have did stuff, but I mean, they got hot and heavy with their makeouts and stuff like that, and so I feel like he definitely has a big game, talks a big game, but just doesn't have it in him. And on top of that, I think him and Snot secretly love each other anyways. They won't admit it out loud, but every single scenario where they show the future, Steve and Snot aren't with women. They're with each other in some way, shape, or form. So I think that could be another reason why they haven't pulled the trigger on anything like that. Because they secretly care about each other more than just on a friendship level. But that is yet to be seen. They could just be kids and not ready, which is completely okay. Alright, moving on to number 3. At number 3, we have Francine Smith, the lovable housewife. An early cartoon crush for me growing up, not gonna lie. I always loved Francine. I always thought her character was funny. The ditzy blonde act is really funny. And I just always liked who she was as a person. But my theory for her is that I think that she resents her daughter for her daughter's life choices, Hayley, for her life choices. And the evidence I have for that is just kind of the way she always interacts with Hayley. They've never really had an episode where they bonded a lot. Her and Stan have a few episodes where they fully bond, even though they have this constant feud going on. They step back and say, hey, I appreciate you and I love you. Hayley and Francine don't have that a ton. And there's a few times where Francine has called her out and said, look, you've been single for too long. You need to join a gym and stuff like that. And that might just come out as a comedic insult. But I think, when it really stems from is Francine has gone through the show and multiple times felt unfulfilled in life. Being a housewife, she feels like it's not very fulfilling, even though it's one of the most difficult jobs out there. Maintaining a house, in my opinion. But in her mind, she's unfulfilled, and she's kind of seeing her daughter go down the same path. She doesn't really have a lot of motivation. She's home a lot. She smokes a lot of pot. Her boyfriend's kind of, I don't want to say a loser because I like Jeff, but he is kind of a loser. So, I think she resents her right now because she has all this future ahead of her. She has her whole life ahead of her, and she's not seizing any moments, and she knows she has potential. And I think she wishes she could step back, be in Hayley's shoes, and do things differently if she could. And so I think right now she does not care for her daughter, and it's not because she doesn't love her. It's because she loves her too much and wants her to succeed, and she's just not seizing the opportunity to. Alright, moving on to number 4. At number 4, we have Hayley Smith, the lovable stoner, and maybe not so lovable stoner, but she is kind of there. No, I like Hayley's character, but I do think that she actually does not love Jeff, and I know that might not seem like it considering those episodes where he was off in space and she waited for him and all that stuff. I think the only reason she's continuing to stay with him, even after he's been back, she shows a lot of impatience with him. And don't get me wrong, he's not the freaking sharpest knife in the drawer, you know. So he's not the brightest. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't work often. So I am not saying she doesn't have a right to be impatient with him, but I think she's mostly with him just because she knows Stan hates him. I definitely know that was the reason for why they were together in the beginning. But I think she continues to have him around, living in the house, just because she knows it gets to Stan and there's not really much he can do about it. Although, you know, there is that thing where Stan does like to be better than people who are poor, so and that was a reason why he kept him in the house and stuff like that. But I think honestly, she's never nice to him. She's never really nice to him on screen and stuff like that. They're always constantly fighting, and I understand they're a young couple and stuff like that, but they're constantly fighting. She's always making fun of him for something. She's calling him stupid, or she doesn't want to commit with him. He wants to start a family. She doesn't want to do it, which is also, you know, her right to not do that. But if she truly loves him, then she should be able to move forward with him. You know, they're married now, stuff like that. They should be able to move forward. But I don't think she can, because she truly doesn't love him. And yeah, that's my theory for Hayley. I don't think she really loves Jeff. And moving on to number 5. At number 5, we have Klaus the Fish. Now, Klaus is one of my most favorite characters in all of TV. I love the German accent. He's often treated like crap. He's kind of treated like the Meg of this show. And I just love him all around. My theory for him is that he actually doesn't want a new human body. My evidence for that is that he doesn't really, after he had one early on in like season 1 or season 2, and the escapades he went on in Stan's body later on when Stan got his original body ruined, he hasn't really clamored for a new body. He hasn't really tried to get a new one. And I think what he kind of sowed his wild oats while he was in Stan's body, kind of did everything he wanted to get done, with zero repercussions. It wasn't his body. He didn't have to stay in it, obviously. And not only that, but although he does get treated like crap, he is kind of living a good life as a fish. I mean, he doesn't have to pay taxes. He is pretty well taken care of, considering he's a goldfish and he's lived this long. And as far as I can remember, he's only used one other fish body throughout the show. So I mean, they've kept him alive for a long time. And he's also learned how to thrive in his fish form, you know. He's learned how to be mobile, he's learned how to drive, he's learned how to use the bathroom, he's learned, you know, all these different things in this small form. And he's living comfortably in a decent house. I know there's a lot of antics going on and stuff like that, but I honestly don't think he really wants to have a new human body. I know I wouldn't if I was living in that situation. His family obviously either has mourned his loss and moved on, or never cared where he was in the first place. So if I were him, I wouldn't want to go back either to the stresses of being human, when I could just, you know, relax and live comfortably as a fish. It'd be weird for sure, but I mean, if he's happy, he's happy. You know. Alright, moving on to number, and last but not least, we have Roger Smith. Now this one is going to be weird. It's just one I kind of just recently thought of. But my theory is that Stewie Griffin is actually possibly one of Roger Smith's personas. Now I have a little bit of evidence to back this up. Right off the cusp, the sexual ambiguity, the not the not so clear sexual orientation. I know Seth McFarland said that Stewie's gay, but there's times where, you know, it kind of is back and forth. And the same with Roger, you never really can tell. And I understand Stewie's just a baby, but that's just the first thing that they kind of match and mesh and stuff like that. And another thing is Roger has admitted to Steve that everyone has a persona that they cannot see through. So that would mean most of the Family Guy cast couldn't see through it, and we as an audience couldn't see through it. And people would probably be wondering, well, how do you explain the scientific, accomplishments? Roger's not that smart. You would think that the regular Roger isn't that smart, but when he commits to a character, he learns their mannerisms and becomes that person. And what better cover would you have than living in a house where you could actually speak and your best friend's a dog, but the rest of the town, the rest of the world, your own family don't understand you, although you can walk, talk, speak, create time machines and all that kind of stuff. It's the perfect cover. Like I said, this one's just kind of silly. I'm not really too serious about that one. It's just kind of a silly one I thought of. I thought it'd be funny to share with people. And I think that'll be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a like, maybe a comment. I definitely like some comments just to hear your theories on the show and what you think of the family. I was gonna do one on Jeff, but I just couldn't come up with any decent ones that were worth anyone's time. Cut back to the last one that was awful anyways. But yeah, I appreciate you watching. My last theories video did fairly decent, for me anyways, and I appreciate everyone who watched it. So on that note, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Alright, bye.